Hello Blitz fans of all ages, it's me, PlumCastle here, and in today's video I just want to show you an interesting tactic that I have found to help me win some very close endgame engagements, say where I'm in, let's just say a 2 versus 2 scenario, or maybe a 2 versus 3, or maybe a 1 versus 2. Either way, an endgame scenario that is not easy to win. Now, I will say that this tactic works doubly well if, say, you have like one teammate, particularly if it's, say, a platoon mate, but really, this tactic is applicable in pretty much every scenario with maybe a few exceptions. So I'm going to go ahead and load up the replay, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at what this is that I'm talking about here. So as you can see, this isn't a full room per se. This was taken from a 2 versus 2 tournament that I played yesterday with my buddies Sturm69 and Taunter1 from my clan. In this case, it's me and Sturm69 for this round. So basically, without giving away too much just yet, what's going to end up happening is we're going to end in a very close game. But before you skip there, I want to explain how it is that we won this, because honestly, winning this actually started from the beginning. Now, to give a little bit of a backdrop here, Sturm69 is in an Action 10, a very good tank for damage per minute as well as armor, but not necessarily the best in, say, hold down. And I'm just going to go ahead and pause here. I am in a T54E2 Shark, which means I have very good armor, of decent alpha as well, and very good gun depression. This is very much a hold down tank. And we can look and we can see the enemy team has a 53 TP, and I believe that's Markowski, which is very well armored and can deal a lot of damage, but is not necessarily the best at hold down. I mean, it can be hold down, but not in the specific situation that you're going to see me using it. The T34 Falcon, again, can be used in a sort of hold down position, but probably not as well, and certainly, again, not in the way I'm about to use it. And its armor is not the greatest, but that's what we're working with. We've got 2 heavies versus 2 heavies, and of course, the situation may be different for you depending. But going ahead and playing here, so basically the way that this match kind of starts out, me and Sturm69, we are holding until eventually, and I'm just going to go ahead and skip forward because nothing really happens for about a minute. We start to get bored, for lack of a better word, so we go ahead and just go in. Now, the whole idea here is to show confidence intentionally to the enemy team, even if you don't necessarily feel super confident yourself. And by confidence, I don't mean YOLOing because you feel like you can rule the world. That is not what I'm saying here. When I'm talking about confidence, it's almost like the ability to stand in a spot and not let go of ground without necessarily putting yourself in jeopardy. That is the kind of confidence I'm thinking of. And it kind of starts here, to be honest. So there's Sturm, and the enemy, as we know, or we're going to know in a minute, are hiding behind the set of rocks over there. This initial push was actually calculated. Now, I did skip past it a little bit, but we saw that the enemies did spawn in the rocks. Now, that told me one thing. One, that they didn't really have a good shot on me, given the fact that I have cover here. And based on Sturm's position, I know he can back me up. So even this push is a show of confidence. I'm confident in being able to get very close to them before they have a chance to shoot me. And again, this may change depending on your position. So this will take a bit of adjustment and just learning over time. But moving forward again, you can see I'm pushing very aggressively. And again, I know where they're at. I know they're sitting back there. In fact, there's the Falcon. And there you go. Sturm does get a shot onto him. I don't know if he's lost it yet, but unfortunately, Sturm is also going to lose some health on his end too. There we go, 345 damage. And there we go. Both of them are back here. Again, earlier we spotted the 53 TP and the T34. This just proves where they're at. But again, you can see, based on their position, they never ever really had a shot on me behind that rock. But moving forward, now let's take a look at this next show of confidence. So again, like I said before, the T54 E2 Shark is very, very good at hold down. It has, I want to say, like 10 degrees of gun depression, which not only makes it great for just general hold on capabilities, but particularly in a top-down hold-down position. This is one of the harder positions to get at, and basically the idea, and well, you know what, I'm just going to pull up and we're going to see it in just a minute. The idea is that I'm going to be above them and that they are going to get shot at. Now, here's kind of an example of what this is. So if I back out here, you can see that the way I've positioned my tank, I've got the ground right here. The ground is actually covering the upper half of my tank pretty much. In fact, if we come over here, we can take a look. That's not a lot that the enemy has to look at. And honestly, this camera angle is at a better vantage point than even this guy was. You can see only my turret is there. In fact, I actually can come even further up this hill. And basically what I'm going to be able to do is sit on top of this hill and look down at them while they are going to struggle to shoot me just the way my armor works. And again, different tanks, different scenarios. I'm just giving a tank in a scenario. But this is a place where the T-54E2 Shark is very strong. Now, and no, this is not a tutorial on the T-54E2 Shark. If you want to see that, I actually have one already. This is just focusing on taking the strengths of the tank and, again, showing confidence. So we're going to go ahead and hit play again, and I'm going to come back to the correct view. I did shoot an HE, I believe. Basically, that was just an initial measure to quickly get off some quick damage without really having to risk a bounce and to, again, kind of push them back to keep them from getting too aggressive before, say, Sturm 69 comes to fully back me up. So moving forward again, so both of them are back there. They're in a little bit of a bad spot sitting down there. And again, even in this position, it looks like I might be overextending. And maybe at this precise moment, maybe, but not really, to be honest. Because if we come down and look, this is where they would be looking again. Again, they'd be looking about a little bit lower than I am. I am not overextending by much at all. I can literally look down at them. The moment that they come forward, they're going to get shot by me, and I can easily back up. Now, I do want to address one thing. Sturm 69 is in a little bit of a hard position himself. Again, he's not in a hold-down tank. He is trying to support, which is fantastic, but you can see in a minute he's going to lose some hit points, which will actually lead into the next thing we're going to talk about. So firstly, the Shark, or just any tank, being in its particularly strong position. I am in a position where I can really just kind of hold out against even both of these enemies for the most part. Now we're going to go ahead and hit play again, and there we go. There goes Sturm a little bit, pushing pretty aggressively. You can see I've still got HE loaded, and unfortunately I whiff it. But here comes the enemy cavalry. There's both tanks staring at both of them, and right now they have what would appear to be a very strong position. I can't hit them very reliably, and of course they can hit Sturm pretty easily, but they cannot necessarily hit me back, which is very key. And again, this looks like I'm backing off, but this is still going to be a show of confidence in a few seconds. And to be clear, I'm not trying to brag. This is just an example of what to do and when to do it. So there we go. Sturm unfortunately loses a pretty hefty amount of hit points just due to the enemy pushing on him like that. Not really much that could have been done to avoid it necessarily. I mean, yes, you could have said he shouldn't have pushed forward, but at the same time, he has to do something because the way that we are situated, we kind of want to stay together. You don't really want to flank around the rock, at least not right away. But I'm diving a little bit into a tangent. Anyway, back to what it is we're focusing on. There we go. Perfect example. Now, of course, I knew he was on a reload given that Sturm just got shot. And if we come back over here, we can see that, yeah, they don't really have a shot on me. Okay, he did, but he was reloading. And the fact that this tank, the T-34, was on adrenaline also gives me an indication that he was reloading as well. But if we take a look at the point at which he was looking at me and take it down like a little bit, he really didn't have much of a shot on me given this position. I mean, let's see if we can find a better position there. He didn't have much of a shot on me, maybe my lower plate depending on how it was, but he didn't have a fantastic shot on me. And then again, look, I back right up. but I don't run away, which is very key. Now, they're pushing up aggressively again. They're going to get some more shots into Sturm. I do bounce that shot, but again, I don't hightail it the moment things start to get a little bit dicey. You can see there that Sturm is now fairly low hit points, and the enemy team could reasonably push on us, kill him, and then clean me up afterward. But you're going to see what we're going to do next. What I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to hold this power position, because here's the thing, I don't want Sturm to die whatsoever, and I'm actually doing two things here. One, again, I'm showing confidence to the enemy team by not backing off when they think I would in a logical way, while also maintaining the hit points on Sturm 69, because again, I don't want him to die. The moment he's dead, it's pretty much game over, at least the way that it's standing right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use my quick commands to actually indicate to Sturm 69 just to hold back. Not in a greedy way, I'm not trying to farm damage, but to keep him alive and to kind of let me take the brunt of the current situation, if you will. So looking back over here, going ahead and hitting play again. So there they are. They're pushing quite aggressively. They know Sturm is on a fairly low hit points. But look at that. The moment I push up, they get a little bit, something goes off and they think maybe to wait. Now this, I would say, is kind of the inverse thing of what I'm doing. They, in their case, what I would have had them do would have been to show confidence on the other end. So this really is two-sided. You can take an example of what I'm doing and apply it to what they're doing as well. They're backing off in a position that wouldn't necessarily have required it. And I'm not blaming them whatsoever. These tournaments can get pretty tense at times and can be very difficult. So they don't want to needlessly overextend, which is understandable. Given the circumstances, I might have even done the same if I wasn't doing the exact opposite, I suppose. So there we go. Nice shot into the Falcon. Because they pushed a little bit too aggressively, I got the shot into them. But then because they stopped being aggressive and pulled back, they didn't shoot me back, which was actually a pretty big hit. Granted, 260 damage. It's not the most in the world, but it can change games, particularly when they're this close, which is really what I want to stress. It's all about these close engagements and being the one, in a way, like being the one that's dominant or being the one that's controlling the game. Of course, this will depend on the situation and won't always be the case. I want to stress that just by showing confidence doesn't necessarily make a difference. A very, very skilled team probably would have just steamrolled us. But I am holding a position, and it does definitely pay off in the end, as we'll soon see. So you can see even the 53 TP, who I am certain has a very large shell loaded up and ready to shoot probably Sturm, is not pushing up. They know I am on a reload, and okay, sure, Sturm is reloaded, but he doesn't do the most damage with a single shot, and they could honestly afford to take one, maybe even two hits from him while clearing out his hit points. But you'll see, again, because we're holding this position so strongly, they don't necessarily push in like that. Now you can see they desperately want to, but I'm kind of in the way. And there we go. I tanked a shell from the 53 TP. Not only did I not lose hit points, but that's a shell that could have been shot at Sturm, but it wasn't. Another key thing that happened in this game that is going to ultimately result in us getting a win. I have a shell now, so I have a little bit of option. I know the T-34 recently shot. He might even have a shell reloaded. Honestly, not too concerned. I can trade with him pretty evenly without too much loss. So if we do trade hit points, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But of course, I'm not going to start there. I'm going to try to get a shot off. HE doesn't really do much. I thought maybe some splash damage, but it doesn't. But at the very least, it does kind of deter them. They know that they're being shot at, and it's not comfy, we'll put it that way. Now, again, you see at the top, I said to hold position. That was the whole idea, was to keep Sturm behind. Now, he does push up, and honestly, I would say of the two positions, this might definitely be the better one, but still is not going to be great, especially with his hit points the way they are. So the enemy team is going to see that, and they are going to shoot him. Now, this is an example, I would say, of confidence in just a little bit the wrong spot. I'm not, again, trying to complain or anything. I'm just giving an aftermath analysis on the situation, if you will. This position probably wasn't the best to hold, but at the same time, he did pick a better position than he had before. So absolute props, and Sturm, if you're watching this, you did actually play very well. Okay, so back to what I was saying, though. So Sturm's in a situation where he could theoretically get shot. I do believe he's going to get some shots in, and given this area, this is probably going to be the stronger position to be in as opposed to the other one, because as you can see there, he can already use his gun depression a little bit better. So moving forward a bit here, we can see that there comes the 53 TP. Now, I believe I get a very nice shot into his lower plate, which I do. Again, he gets scared and pulls back. But notice, I pull back a little bit, but just enough not to get shot at. I am still in this position, and I am still an annoyance to the enemy team. They cannot kill me. You'll notice that we are, I want to say like 3 minutes into the game, and I haven't lost a single hit point. In fact, I've managed to bounce 550, which is very crucial. Now you can see that they're pushing up again, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip my gun down. There we go, nice shot. And just real quick, since we know that T-34 shot, let's see the hit points on Sturm. He did not get hit. That is also very good. He knew when to back up, which is very important as well. You can play with low hit points. You certainly can. It's risky, and it can at times sometimes not pay off, but in that case, it did. And it's all about knowing when to poke out and when not to. So there we go. I do believe, yes, Sturm did take a pretty nasty hit for that one. It looks like the 53 TP wasn't even running those special shells that give him even extra damage. But either way, that was a lot of damage to lose, unfortunately. But you'll notice the 53 TP is now at half health. Now, if we think about this for a moment, look at the health of the enemy team. The Falcon has lost, we'll just round it to, he's got just over half his hit points. The TP has less, or around half his hit points. No, yeah, definitely less than half his hit points. They very likely would have had more hit points if they had just pushed us in the beginning and killed Sturm. Yes, they would have been shot. But look at this. They've not managed to kill Sturm. I am full health, and they've still lost the same amount of damage. And again, I'm not trying to just absolutely steamroll them or wreck them. I'm just saying, from a statistics standpoint, or from an aftermath standpoint, we can see that, technically speaking, they probably could have pushed us and gotten away with it. So that is another note, to know when to push as well, but that's a different video entirely. Just wanted to point that out. So they've lost a lot of hit points. And, okay, yes, Sturm is dying, but I'm still full hit points. I've also got a very good tank, and I'm still holding the power position, and Sturm is technically still alive. So I'm going to keep playing here. Let's see how this keeps going. So I have another shell pretty much loaded. You'll notice, with my 8.8 second reload, or whatever it is, with adrenaline on its 7.3, I'm able to poke over this hill very frequently and get shots into them, even if they bounce. I'm able to get them out very quickly in this specific scenario. There we go. There's the T-34. Nice shot into the upper plate. The T-34, the upper plate, just isn't as good as it probably could be. So I do manage to get that shot into there, and that wasn't even a premium round. So that was, again, very good. Pulling back now, you can see that they're pushing up again. I do know that Sturm is going to die at some point, and I think it might be now. This is a very aggressive push. The T-34 Falcon is coming after me, and the 53 TP Markowski go, I'm not entirely sure, is almost certainly going to kill Sturm. They're both, well, at least the Markowski is close enough to kill Sturm. The T-34 Falcon is making, honestly, a push, the push that they probably should have made in the beginning, just a little bit too late. Look at that upper plate, though. Even angled, I can just shoot right through it. I'm also like a second away from reloading, he's not going to be able to get into a shot into me before I shoot him and already start reloading for the next round, and we're going to see this. So there we go, moving forward. Right there is the shot, and unfortunately, so I guess the T-34 Falcon ended up cleaning out Sturm. But look at what we have now. So yes, Sturm died. That is a bit of a bummer, but honestly, looking at the situation, even when I was playing this game, I was pretty certain that we would still win this. Because look at what happened to the T-34. Sturm got a critical shot into him right there, 172 damage. If that 172 damage hadn't been subtracted, I couldn't necessarily clear him with one shot, but now I can. As well, I got a max roll. So I'm full hit points against a one-shot heavy, and a half health. As long as you can stay cool under the position, and again, have a little bit of confidence on what and where to do, what to do and where to do it, this position is actually not as bad as it could be. Now, if you ever find yourself in this kind of position, another thing to keep in mind, look at the T-34. He's a one-shot. Absolute. He needs to die first. No question about it. He's the one you want to shoot. Nice bounce, but honestly, I probably could have done even if I got shot. There's the T-34 Falcon. So I'm going to go ahead and get a shot into him. I know, T-34 Falcon, a little bit more high priority, will you say. But here's the thing. He's not really at a good position to shoot, and I might as well shoot something. So I go ahead and shoot the 53 TP. Okay, here comes the T-34 Falcon. But look what I did. I am behind the body of Sturm 69. Okay, that just sounds weird. I'm behind the body of the Action 10. I'm using this cover, this perfect cover, to keep him from pushing on me, for lack of look. 400 bounce again, probably didn't need it, but all of this stuff helps. We're at a minute and a half left in the game, not even, because I know this game ends before this. It all adds up. But look, full hit points, and we still have a minute and a half left. And they are a 2-shot and a 1-shot. Now, there goes, I believe I get another shot into him. There we go. Now he's in the realm of being a 1-shot. Maybe not, but probably. That's the first damage I've taken all game. Now here comes the T-34 Falcon. Now, he's pushing very aggressively, and I kind of understand this, but I would definitely have suggested, in this case, probably to have waited until he knew I had shot, and then peek over as little as possible. But it was a close game, so he kind of had to do something. There we go. Shoot him. He couldn't back up far enough, and again, my gun depression came in handy, and his upper plate just really, or that might have even been his lower plate. Either way, the front of his tank just utterly let him down. And there's the 53 TP, but again, I have half hit points, and he's conceivably a 1-shot, maybe 2, depending, and he was a 1-shot. 3,000 damage dealt, 1,000, we'll round it, 1,800 damage blocked, 2 kills, and I still had over half my hit points. Now again, 2 versus 2 tournament, it will vary a little bit depending on, like, say, when you play in an actual game. This is more just a showcase of strategies and tactics more than it is do this and you'll win every time. It doesn't work like that. Showing confidence when it matters, and as much as you can, being confident in the position. For example, when I was in that power position with my tank, I was confident. I knew I could stay there for a while unless they really pushed on us, which was very critical. Sturm 69 kept himself alive for a very long time, did damage where it mattered. Again, showing confidence where it mattered. The hard thing here was that the enemy team didn't quite have the confidence to push in the beginning, but that's just looking at it from an analytical view. I know, again, in these tournaments, it can be very stressful and can be very hard to know what to do and when to do it. So I am not saying anything mean to these people whatsoever. I'm just analytical, looking at this from a statistics point of view. They probably could have pushed us in the beginning and probably could have won. We did turn it around, but that's just how the game goes sometimes. And when you see that, if you see the enemy not quite being very aggressive towards you when they probably could, it might actually be okay in that scenario to, as long as you're doing it correctly, hold a position that will allow you to continue to shoot them while making it hard for them to shoot you and generally dealing damage. And look at that, 58,000 credits. Not that it really matters, but still, that is very cool. And I don't know why it doesn't show this, but I'm pretty sure I gave them stickers as well. But either way, Sturm69 did the damage where it mattered, stayed alive to keep the pressure on. I also continued to keep pressure, held power position, was very confident in my position to try to kind of like, almost in a way, make it visible. Now, you might be thinking, do I really think all of this in a game? Ish, maybe not really. It did actually cross my mind in this game, which is why I thought about it. But yeah, this stuff actually does kind of cross my mind, not in like the super deep analytical way, of course, so you can only really see that at the end. But when I'm playing a game, I do think of these things like what positions are the power positions, what position to sit in to make sure to do the damage and to keep my teammates alive as much as possible. And especially, one last tip, if you're in a tournament and your platoon mate is a one-shot and you're very high health, take the shot for your teammate. Or if you're in a platoon, it'll be kind of situational depending on whether you do it for a teammate. I will say I don't always do it, but sometimes I do. But particularly in a platoon or in a tournament, take the hit point or take the damage for your teammate, because keeping them alive is very important. And that is actually what we did here. Again, I didn't really take much damage, but I did definitely block some damage that could have totally killed Sturm69. But anyway, that's what I wanted to show you, this kind of in-depth breakdown of a very short clip of where we used the positions that we needed to use and showed confidence where it matters. That's really kind of the thing that I'm going at here, is confidence. It's very, very important that you can actually get to that point. Because obviously, when you start out Blitz, you're probably not going to be confident because you don't know anything. But as time goes on, you begin to develop that confidence. And by using that confidence where it matters and knowing your tanks, the ins and outs of your tank, can really pay off. And I don't see really anyone talk about this. I mean, yes, map awareness or situational awareness, aiming your shells correctly, all of this can definitely help. But really, at the end of the day, I would say Blitz, all of it comes together into confidence. If you are confident, again, I'm not saying like confidence will win every game, but if you have confidence, it probably means you know what you're doing in a particular scenario. So if you don't feel confident, analyze the situation either during or afterward in the replay and look at what could have changed so that in the next time you're in that position, you're confident, you know what the next step is to take. And that pretty much wraps up this video. And to close off, I just want to say one last thing, and that is to feel free to let me know down in the comments what you thought. This is a very different kind of video than what I normally make, so I'm curious to see your guys' feedback on this. It is definitely a different kind of tutorial, generally speaking. When you look online, there will be different tutorials for like tactics or tanks or something specific, which is totally great. But I figured I might as well try this to kind of give you guys an idea and almost like walk through what it is I'm thinking in the game to kind of help you adapt it to more situations. Because if you know the thought process behind it, at least for me, it can sometimes help me actually change the way I play, just a thought. But again, let me know down in the comments what you think, and I'm curious to see your feedback. And so with that, hope you all enjoyed, and as always, have fun, good luck, and happy tanking.